We treat the art of the ancient world as decoration. We walk past the statues, the reliefs, and the petroglyphs, believing they are nothing more than the primitive expressions of superstitious people trying to make their world look beautiful. We tell ourselves that we are the first advanced civilization to walk this earth, the first to touch the stars, and the first to understand the physics of the universe. But we are wrong. There is a code hidden in the stone. Across the globe, from the deserts of Iraq to the jungles of Mexico, our ancestors left behind specific masterpieces that are not decorative, but functional. They are time capsules. They are encrypted data dumps using the universal languages of mathematics and astronomy to bypass the barrier of time. They are trying to tell us something terrifying, that civilization is a cycle, and that the ceiling we are building is actually a floor that has collapsed before. Today, we are decoding 10 ancient artworks that act as desperate warnings. We will strip away the academic dogma and look at the blueprints of lost technology, the maps of celestial destruction, and the messages that suggest our future has already happened. If you believe history is more than what's written in textbooks, hit that subscribe button. Join us as we unlock the forbidden chapters of the human story. 1. The Vulture Stone, Göbekli Tepe, Turkey. Our investigation begins in southern Turkey, at the site that single-handedly shattered the timeline of human history. Göbekli Tepe, buried intentionally 12,000 years ago. This massive complex predates Stonehenge by over 6 millennia. While archaeologists initially dismissed the carvings on the massive limestone pillars as simple totems to animist gods, forensic astronomical analysis has revealed something far more pragmatic on Pillar 43. Known as the Vulture Stone, this pillar presents a chaotic scene of scorpions, vultures, and headless figures. But when you strip away the artistic interpretation and view the figures as astronomical data points, a terrifying map emerges. The scorpion is not an animal. It is the constellation Scorpio. The vulture corresponds to the Cygnus constellation. The circle balanced on the vulture's wing represents the sun. This is not art. It is a timestamp. By rewinding the astronomical clock using computer software, scientists have matched this specific alignment of stars to a singular moment in history, 10,050 BC. This date is not random. It coincides precisely with the onset of the Younger Dryas impact event, a cataclysmic period where comet fragments slammed into the North American ice sheet, vaporizing the megafauna and wiping out an advanced epoch of humanity. But the carving is not just a memorial. It is a warning for the future, our future. The pillar specifically highlights the radiant point of the Taurid meteor stream. The builders of Göbekli Tepe went to incredible lengths to bury this site and preserve this pillar to tell us that the comet that struck Earth was just one piece of a massive debris field. They are warning us that the orbit of this debris is cyclical. The message encoded in the stone is that Earth passes through this danger zone periodically, and that the geological peace we enjoy today is temporary. The Vulture Stone is a clock counting down to the next encounter with the torrid stream, warning us that the sky will fall again. 2. Cylinder Seal, VIA 243, Ancient Sumer. We move from the warning of destruction to a warning of our cosmic neighborhood. Housed in a museum in Berlin is a small, unassuming clay cylinder from ancient Sumer, roughly 4,500 years old. Known as Cylinder Seal, VA 243, it ostensibly depicts a scene of the gods granting agricultural knowledge to humanity. But if you look past the figures to the upper left corner of the seal, you find an anomaly that mainstream science struggles to explain. There is a clear, deliberate depiction of a solar system. In the center, a large, radiating sun. Orbiting it are dots representing planets. If this were a simple artistic representation, we would expect to see 5 or 6 planets, the ones visible to the naked eye in ancient Iraq. Instead, we see 12 celestial bodies. The Sumerian artisan carved the sun, the moon, and 10 planets. This includes Pluto, a planet we supposedly only discovered in 1930, and Uranus and Neptune, which are invisible without telescopes. But the warning lies in the extra planet. The seal depicts a large planetary body passing between Mars and Jupiter, a body that does not exist in our current model. This matches the Sumerian text describing Nibiru, a massive planet with a highly elliptical 3,600-year orbit. The artwork is a celestial map warning us that our solar system is not the stable clockwork mechanism we think it is. The seal serves as a warning of orbital instability. It suggests that there is a variable in the gravitational equation of our solar system that we have forgotten. The return of this crossing planet brings with it gravitational chaos, geological upheaval, and flood events on Earth. The ancients carved this into stone to tell us that the gods didn't just live in the sky. The gods were a planetary force that returns on a schedule. The seal warns us that we are currently living in the quiet period of a violent cycle, and that the layout of our solar system is about to change again. 3. The helicopter hieroglyphs, Abydos, Egypt. In the Temple of Seti, in Abydos, high above the main hallway on a heavy stone lintel, lies one of the most jarring cognitive dissonances in archaeology. For centuries, these carvings were hidden by plaster, silenced by time. When the plaster crumbled away, it revealed a sequence of glyphs that look impossibly, undeniably modern. Mainstream Egyptologists dismiss this as pareidolia, or a palimpsest, an accidental layering of the name of Setilas over the name of his son, Ramses II, creating random shapes that our brains trick us into recognizing. But we must look at the visual data objectively. The probability of random erosion creating 3 distinct, mechanically accurate profiles of 20th century war machines is statistically absurd. Clear as day, we see the distinct profile of a helicopter, complete with the rotor blade, the tail rotor, and the cockpit. Beside it, a sleek vessel resembling a futuristic tank or a submarine. Below that, the silhouette of a glider or supersonic aircraft. The precision is technical, not accidental. This artwork serves as a memento mori for technological civilization. It supports the terrifying theory of cyclic history. The message encoded here is that we are not the first advanced civilization to walk these sands. The Egyptians, or the culture they inherited their knowledge from, may have witnessed technology that mirrors our own. These glyphs are ghosts of a future that has already happened. They warn us that technological superiority does not save a civilization from collapse. In fact, these machines of war might be exactly what destroyed the previous cycle. The carving warns us that we are simply reinventing the wheels that drove our ancestors off a cliff, and that our modern inventions are merely echoes of a forgotten past. 4. The Dendera Light, Temple of Hathor, Egypt. Deep beneath the Temple of Hathor, in a cramped crypt that was sealed off from the public for centuries, lies a set of large stone reliefs that challenge the very foundation of our understanding of ancient energy. The carvings depict massive, transparent, bulb-like objects that dominate the room. Inside these bulbs, a snake-like wavy line stretches out, emerging from a lotus flower socket at the base. Crucially, these bulbs are not floating. They are supported by jed pillars. In Egyptian mythology, the jed is stability, but mechanically, it looks remarkably like a modern high-voltage insulator. To the side, a baboon holds 2 knives, a universal symbol of danger or protection. When electrical engineers examine this, they do not see a snake god. They see a Crookes tube, an early form of a cathode ray tube used to create light. The snake is the filament or the plasma discharge. The lotus is the cable socket. The jed is the insulator. The absence of soot in the deepest, darkest Egyptian tombs has always baffled researchers. This relief explains Why? They had electric light. The warning encoded in the Dendra crypt is about the fragility of knowledge. The fact that this diagram was carved in a secret, underground crypt implies that this technology was already rare, sacred, or being suppressed 3,000 years ago. The message to the future is that scientific regression is real. Civilization does not always move forward. It can slide backward. Just as they lost the light and returned to torches, we are being warned that our own power grid, our own mastery of electricity, is not a permanent guarantee. We are looking at a diagram of a lost science, a warning that if we do not maintain the JED, the stability of our knowledge, we will plunge back into the dark ages just as they did. 5. The Laladov Plate, Nepal. High in the mist-covered mountains of Nepal, an artifact was discovered that defies all conventional timelines. Known as the Laladov Plate, this 12,000-year-old stone dish is intricate, disturbing, and unmistakably specific. The central design features a spiral galaxy, a shape that humans should not have known existed until the invention of deep space telescopes. But it is what is embedded within the spiral that freezes the blood. Etched into the stone is a humanoid figure. It has a large, bulbous head, virtually no nose, a small slit mouth, and giant, almond-shaped eyes. It has a thin, frail body. It is the exact, unparalleled depiction of the gray alien, the archetype of modern abduction phenomena. Next to the figure is a disc-shaped object, a flying saucer. This is not a religious icon. It is an origin map. The spiral suggests a trajectory, a path from the stars to Earth. The warning encoded here is that we have never been alone. The plate tells us that the grays are not a product of 1950s sci-fi movies or modern hysteria. They have been here since the end of the Ice Age. The artifact warns us that human evolution has been monitored, and perhaps manipulated, by these star travelers for millennia. It challenges our sovereignty over this planet, warning us that we are merely subjects in a much larger, galactic experiment that is still ongoing. The plate is a message from the ancients telling us to look at the shadows, because the observers depicted in the stone are still watching. 6. The 1561 celestial phenomenon, Nuremberg woodcut. We travel to Nuremberg, Germany, to examine a warning not carved in stone, but printed in wood. The 1561 celestial phenomenon, woodcut by Hans Glasser, is not a mythological painting. It is a piece of 16th century journalism. It is a report of an event that occurred on April 14, 1561, witnessed by thousands of citizens who spilled into the streets in terror. The woodcut depicts the sky filled with violent chaos. Spheres, blood-red crosses, and massive cylinders are engaged in a kinetic aerial dogfight. Large cigars are seen launching smaller spheres. Most chillingly, a massive black spearhead shape, what we would today call a black triangle UFO, hangs ominously over the city. The witnesses described it as a war in the heavens, where the combatants crashed and burned outside the city gates. This artwork is a warning against the hubris of assuming the sky is empty or peaceful. It documents a skirmish between non-human factions fighting for control or territory over Earth. The encoded message is one of vulnerability. Earth is a strategic outpost. The warning is that we are not the players in this game. We are the battlefield. The shapes seen in 1561 match the reports of UFOs from the 21st century perfectly. The warning is clear. The war didn't end. It just moved out of our visible spectrum. We are being warned to watch the skies, not for angels, but for combatants. 7. The Utsuro Bune illustrations. Edo period Japan. In 1803, Japanese artists across several provinces documented a singular, strange event in a series of illustrations known as the Utsuro Bune, or hollow ship. The artwork depicts a strange, round vessel that washed ashore. The artists were meticulous in their details, The ship was made of metal and glass, materials rare for ships of that era, and featured windows protected by bars. Inside was a beautiful, pale woman with red hair. She spoke a language no one understood. But the most important detail in the art is the box she held. She clutched a square box made of an unknown material and would not let anyone touch it, protecting it with her life. The interior of the ship was decorated with strange, geometric symbols, symbols that bear a striking resemblance to the characters found on the Roswell wreckage or the Rendlesham Forest incident. This art is a warning of a failed first contact. The villagers, frightened by her strangeness, simply pushed her and her ship back out to sea. The warning here is about our primitive fear of the unknown. It documents that visitors have arrived before, not as conquerors, but as refugees or messengers, and our instinctual fear caused us to reject the message. The box she held remains one of history's greatest unanswered questions. Was it a weapon, a gift of limitless energy, or a data storage device containing the history of the universe? The art warns us that we missed the opportunity once, and if they return, we must be ready to accept the box, or we will remain in ignorance forever. 8. Prophecy Rock, Hopi Reservation, Arizona. In the high desert of Arizona, the Hopi people preserve one of the most profound and terrifying warnings in existence. Prophecy Rock. This ancient petroglyph is a timeline of human history, simple in its design but devastating in its accuracy. It essentially functions as a binary code for the destiny of our species. The carving shows the Great Spirit holding a line. This line splits into two paths. The lower path shows a man connected to nature, tending to corn, living in balance with the land. This line continues smoothly and indefinitely. The upper path tells a different story. It shows a man unconnected to the earth. He is surrounded by sophisticated inventions, symbols that look like gears, wheels, or perhaps microchips. He is holding a cane, symbolizing reliance on artificial support. This is the path of technology, of transhumanism, of the disconnect from the spirit. The warning lies in how the upper line ends. It becomes a jagged, erratic zigzag, representing chaos, war, and societal breakdown, before simply stopping abruptly. It is a dead end. The Hopi elders say we are currently at the point where the paths are furthest apart. The inventions have become our gods. The message encoded here is a desperate plea to jump timelines. It warns that the path of pure technology, of severing our bond with the biological world, leads to inevitable self-termination. The jagged line is not progress. It is the death rattle of our species. 9. The sarcophagus of King Pakal, Palenque, Mexico. Deep in the jungles of Mexico, inside the Temple of Inscriptions, lies the massive limestone lid of King Pakal's tomb. For decades, mainstream archaeologists have described the relief as a metaphorical depiction of the king descending into the underworld, Xibalba, falling down the world tree. But when we look at it with eyes accustomed to the space age, the metaphor dissolves into mechanics. Pakal is not falling, he is sitting. He is suspended in a chair with a high back and a headrest. His hands are manipulating controls, knobs, and levers. His feet are resting on pedals. And most undeniably, at the base of the structure, flames and smoke are blasting out of a nozzle. He has a breathing apparatus inserted into his nose. This is the Palenque astronaut. The warning here is ambiguous but profound. It challenges our assumption that we are terrestrial bound. It suggests that the ultimate destiny of the elite, the leaders, is to escape the gravity of this world. Some interpretations suggest the Maya knew the cycles of the earth eventually become uninhabitable. The death of Pakal is actually a transformation, a departure. The encoded message is a blueprint not for a tomb, but for a vessel. It forces us to ask, Did the ancient leaders leave the planet before the collapse? And if so, does our current elite plan to do the same, leaving the rest of us behind when the environment fails? 10. The Nazca Lines, Peru. Finally, we fly over the arid plains of Peru to witness the Nazca Lines. Specifically, we look at the figure known as the astronaut, or the giant, and the massive geometric runways that traverse the plateau. These lines are not visible from the ground. They can only be seen, understood, and decoded from an altitude of 1,000 feet. For a civilization without airplanes, creating these perfect geoglyphs is a paradox. The warning of Nazca is a signal to the sky. These are not art for humans. They are landing strips and beacons for something else. The astronaut figure, with its round, bulbous head and hand raised in greeting, is a message of, "We are here. Come back." But the deeper warning lies in the geology. Some of the massive, flat mountaintops at Nazca appear to have been sheared off, artificially flattened, as if to create a landing platform. The sheer scale of the effort implies a cargo cult mentality. The ancients were diverting their resources to build giant signs, hoping the gods would return. The encoded warning is that we are a species suffering from abandonment issues. We built giant signs hoping the parents would come back. The Nazca Lines warn us that we have been waiting for a savior from the sky for thousands of years, diverting our resources and energy into looking up, when we should have been looking around. They warn us that waiting for a savior is a trap that keeps us from saving ourselves. When we step back and look at these 10 artworks together, they stop being isolated relics. They become a cohesive, desperate transmission. The vulture stone warns us of the time. The Sumerian seal warns us of the event. The Hopi prophecy warns us of the outcome. These ancients saw their own world's end. They knew that stone was the only thing that would last, the only paper durable enough to carry a message to the other side of the apocalypse. They didn't carve these intricate warnings to scare us. They carved them to wake us up. The code has been broken. The message is clear. The cycle is resetting. The only question remaining is, are we arrogant enough to ignore it? Share this video to keep the truth alive. Leave a comment below on which artifact keeps you up at night. And don't forget to subscribe. Our excavation of the truth is only just beginning.